Welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable Podcast, where we sit down with some of the most successful real estate agents, brokers, and team leaders to learn about their journeys in this industry. I'm your host, Art Bettuzzi, and as a seasoned real estate agent of 29 years, I'm always fascinated by the stories of how others found success in this business. On this podcast, we'll be talking to our guests about the obstacles they overcame, the lessons they learned, and the tips and strategies they're using in today's ever-changing market. Whether you're a real estate agent, broker, team leader, investor, or just someone interested in real estate, you're in the right place. Our guests come from a variety of backgrounds, and they all have unique insights to share. We want to have fun with these interviews, but we also want to make sure that you come away with actionable tips that you can implement in your own business. New episodes will be released weekly, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for joining us on the Real Estate Roundtable Podcast. Let's get started. All right. Hey, everybody. This is Art Bettuzzi with the Real Estate Roundtable Podcast. I am joined today by a former student of mine, Chih-Hao Yang, and Chih-Hao got his license. We were just talking about this off camera here, that he got his license in 2018. So just about 5 years ago from where we are right now, Chih-Hao was in my accelerated class and got his real estate license. Now, you may say to yourself, well, all right, Art, it's nice. The guy's been in the business for 5 years. Why is he a guest on Real Estate Roundtable Podcast? And the answer is because I've been watching Chih-Hao's career literally since day one and seeing how he's gone about his career and seeing how he has grown himself as a brand has been really nothing short of amazing. And I wanted him to be able to come and talk to everybody about what he's done, how he started, how he does what he does, and where he is today in terms of his production, in terms of his day-to-day activities that is making him a tremendous success in real estate. So, Chih-Hao, welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable Podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me, Art. It's nice to talk to you. You're my teacher. That's how I started.
Well, I appreciate that. And I certainly remember you in class. And I certainly remember that you asked a lot of questions and you were able to pass the state exam on your first attempt, which I had no doubt that you would. But you know that how I feel in terms of your career, because literally a year after you were in the business, you came back to do your post license with me. And we had a long discussion about what you had done that first year. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Before we get into that, though, why don't you tell our listeners how you came to be in real estate in Chicago?
So I'm not from Chicago. I was born in Taipei, in Taiwan. I moved to Chicago in 2003. So 20 years ago, exactly, by myself. I was 15 years old. I came here for high school. So I went to Lake Forest Academy up in Lake Forest. It's a boarding school. So I came here by myself. I did not speak a word of English, nothing at all. I have no families here. So I was pretty scared. Like my parents sent me over. They literally told me, you're going to Chicago next year for high school. I was like, what do you mean? Why am I going to school in Chicago? I don't speak English. I have no families, But it was a good time. Like it was the right choice for me. They wanted me to have better opportunity, the education here. They wanted me to see something different. So I came here for high school, college, another 4 year. I went to Champaign-Urbana, U of I. So I got into real estate right after college in 2010. I started working for a commercial real estate developer, but I was doing marketing stuff like advertising, marketing. It was more for like an EB-5 immigration investment kind of stuff, but we have real estate projects that was focusing on. But it's not until 2018 that I told myself, why don't I know the city so well? And there's so many people like me that, they're not from Chicago. English is not their first language. And then I learned English on my own. I kind of grew up here on my own. I rented the first apartment. I bought the first condo. I'm selling the first condo. I did all this. I knew how nervous I was. And then I didn't have somebody that know what I'm going through to help me. So I told myself, why don't I become that person to guide everybody that are in Chicago? They're coming from China, Singapore, from Taiwan, Hong Kong. There's so many cities, there's so many places, people speak Mandarin. This is what I speak. So I wanted to be that person that, that I can help people. So in 2018, my friend Kai Yu, who's also your student, told me, hey, she told me she went to you and it was the best class. So I went to you and then, it was so fun, your classes. And I just, what we were learning in school and what in real life are so different. Like it's completely different. A lot of things in class we don't ever use in real life. But your class, actually, it was so fun and I loved it from the beginning. And, that's how I got into real estate. And then I took your classes, I passed right away. And then I've been helping so many people like me in Chicago to achieve their real estate goals or dreams.
So let's talk about that first year, because I actually think what you did in your first year was extremely unique in terms of the way that most real estate brokers get started in this business.
Yeah.
Because most of them will come in and you go, all right, I want to help people buy and I want to help people sell, right? But you did something I think was unique. So why, if you don't mind sharing it, why don't you tell our listeners what you did?
So I knew right away it was hard to get a buyer right away, because why would people trust me? They know I'm new to this business. It's not like a family business. My father's not here. They are not developer. We don't have connection. I'm all on my own. So what should I do? I can rent. I can help people rent. So I started helping international students from China. So they use this thing called I-20. Basically, it's a document that shows there are students here. So that's their proof of income. So with international students with I-20 documents, they cannot really rent with private condo owners. So instead renting from private condo owners, I can take them to downtown high rises managed by Group Fox, Rizzuto. And actually that was pretty good because they pay 100% commission on those. So I was bringing a lot of international students to those high rise to rent. And then I remember in 2018, 2019, I think I was doing 80 to 100 rental deals a year. So
wow,
it was a lot. I was doing almost 8 to 10 deals a month. Every week I close a rental deals, and then they are all, $2,000 to $3,000.
So let's talk about that for a second. So if I'm hearing you say this, because I know we had this discussion back then, is you were talking to these international students who were coming to Chicago to go to college?
Yes, they're here, or they might have already been here, because sometimes they have to stay in a dorm the first year and they're moving out for their sophomore year. So this is where I came in and I started doing marketing toward them specifically, telling them that you can use me for.
All right. And then when you were finding rentals, these people were spending, $2,000, $3,000. I think you told me you had a person that rented at a $5,000 a month.
I have done a lot of 5,000 too. Well, 5,000 was, I did it at St. Regis. So it's 4,000 for one bedroom. And I've done a 2-bedroom, 5,000 at Streeterville before. And yeah, they have money is not an issue for a lot of my clientele. They just need a place to go, and the parents would support whatever they want to do, because their goal is to, get to college education. So they want to be in like a nice luxury buildings. So that's when, like a one bedroom in a city in 2018 was probably $2,500. A two bedroom is over 3,000. So that's what they're looking for. This is their budget.
And what's interesting here is that when we talked about this, you said to me, this is actually cheap for the people that are coming from those countries. These types of rents are cheap.
Well, not cheap necessarily, but like if they have lived in San Francisco before or New York for like high school, or like they also can compare, like, in New York, like a one bedroom is 5,000 and in Chicago, 3,000. So when they know the price, it's nothing. Like it's fairly, it's cheaper in comparison. So then they would rather stay in a building where there's a door person, a gym, a pool, and it's near their college. So that's what they prefer, instead of, they're not looking for like the cheapest one. They're looking for something that's convenient for them. Yeah.
Got it. And so really during that first year or 2 years, you built up your business. Like you said, if you're doing 80 leases.
Yeah.
And so that first year it was, I think you told me you did have some sales, but it was mostly leasing. Yes.
It took me exactly 12 months to get my first buyer. So I got my license 2018 May, and I closed my first sale in like 2019 June or July. Yeah.
Okay. So, obviously that first year, very successful in terms of your income, right? Mm-hmm. But then that year two, I think you had told me, correct me if I'm wrong, that some of the people who had rented from you in year one decided that they wanted to buy in year two.
Correct. So when their lease was coming up, like some people's lease were coming up, I knew they still have another year, or maybe after their graduation, I know they found a job, or they have cash, parents are willing to buy a new condo. So I reach out to all of my clients and asking, hey, is buying an option for you? And of course, some of them, out of 100 people, one is going to say yes, or two is going to say yes. So I focus on those people to basically practice, because I have never done a sale before. I was so nervous, I remember. And of course, my first client, they had no idea that was my first sales. I was faking it until, I've talked to them like I knew everything. But of course, I was asking for help, because that was my first sales. But, I did everything I could. I went above and beyond for that first buyers, because I wanted to make sure they're really happy. And when we close, they're just so satisfied. And then, these people become my referral base. Like they tell people, hey, like Chih-Hao just did, we just purchased with Chih-Hao and he's really good. And then that's how my clients started to refer to their friends and family. And that's why I'm lucky that I don't have an issue for not having clients. I think there's a lot of people's problem.
Well, for sure. But it sounds like that a lot of your business is referral based today.
Yes.
Right? So what percentage would you say of your business is referral based today versus what it was back then?
Ooh, like back then I have to post a lot on like Chinese social media, but now I would say like 60-70% of my seller and buyers, they're referral based from like a previous clients. And I remember I have this couple, they were moving from California to Chicago, and I was a broker in California. She found me online, and then she said, hey, I have this couple moving to Chicago. Can I refer them to you for a fee? I said, sure. So I worked with them. They bought a townhouse for $400,000. I still remember, in 2019. And this specific couple, they refer me to 5 or 6 people. And I just closed a condo in South Loop yesterday, and it's because of them. And then these people, they probably have no idea. They brought so much business for me, because they work in an office, and then he told like this person in the office, and that person bought it, and this whole, like literally I helped the entire team to purchase. And then I realized that later, because I asked them, where do you guys work? And then they told me there. I said, are you guys all friends? They're like, oh yeah. And then I realized they all bought it because that person referred them to me. And then I just closed this condo. They don't yesterday, but they don't work in the same office, but they know people in that building who work in the same office. So it's really just, it's like a snowball. It gets bigger and bigger, and referral base is bigger. So you never know. And then talking about referral, I think, people anywhere I go, I tell people what I do, but I don't want to be pushy because I don't want to be that insurance guy. Sometimes insurance people, they like to ask you for to sit down for coffee, and they want to sell you stuff. I don't do that. Like, when I go to the bar, I talk to people, and then we might exchange Instagram, and I don't really talk to them about like what I do for work. But they will find out after they go home, and I wait until they reach out to me. And I've met so many clients that, from parties, from the bar, and just things that like normally people wouldn't teach you, that where you should be, networking. And then like I closed townhouses over $1 million last year, and met this couple at like a big party in Chicago the summer before. So you just never know. And then, obviously we were all having fun, but then, people later on, they check out my Instagram, my social media, they know I'm good at what I'm doing. So, besides the partying or drinking, whatever, and then, when I'm doing work, I know what I'm doing. So that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously your numbers show us that you do know what you're doing. So if you don't mind sharing, last year, we'll just take calendar year 2022. Yeah. What was your production number?
So I got the car, Chicago Association Realtor, like the top producer award, and I did 12.4 million last year.
12.4 million in basically your fourth year.
Because I didn't really do sales, and remember, there's COVID. During COVID, I left Chicago. I was gone for a year. I was overseas. I went back to Taipei for a year. I didn't really. Yeah, I was in 2020. I was there for like 8 months. I was in Chicago. I didn't work. Yeah.
But then when you came back, you had what was your volume the year before? The 12.
So like over 10 million. So in 2021, that's the year I came back to work, and then I was shocked myself too, because I took a like 8-month break. Actually, when I was away, I did a few deals too, which is crazy. It was all like virtual tour and like sight unseen buying and selling. But I did like 3 or 4 of those when I was gone. But when I came back in 2021, my business just took off. And it took me a while to get used to it, because I was doing rentals, and now all of a sudden I have so many buyers and sellers that wanted to work with me. And the market was amazing in 2021. And that's when business took off, and I had to get used to this, new lifestyle of being a realtor.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. So, again, that's pretty spectacular for somebody in their 4th and 5th year. I mean, or 3rd and 4th year, 10 million plus 12.4. I mean, there's some people that's an entire career in real estate. So let's talk about how you actually did that. Meaning, what types of, we talked about the fact that you had done referrals, but what types of marketing do you do? How are you attracting these people? Obviously, you had talked about being part of a community, in the Chicagoland area, but I know from our previous discussions, it wasn't only people that were coming from overseas that you're working with.
So in 2018, as soon as I got my broker license, I started producing videos. So I have videos that teach people how to rent an apartment. It's like a 2-minute clip. I tell them what you need in order to rent an apartment, your credit score, your income, your I-20, whatever. And later I started making videos for landlord owners, clients, where if you have a property that you want to rent out, how I can help the owners to do so. And then I put them into like a video. And then later I have videos to teach people how to buy, how to sell. And all of those videos are in English and Chinese, both. If I speak in English, I have Chinese subtitle, or sometimes the videos are in Chinese too. And I think those help a lot for, like the videos kind of give the clients, because I asked the clients before, they feel like they already know me before they even talk to me. So there's that, they're comfortable knowing that I'm like a real person. And then besides those videos, I do a lot of, on my social media, I have Facebook, I have Instagram, I post on LinkedIn, but I also use Chinese platform like WeChat, and there's this app called Xiaohongshu. It's almost like a Instagram for a Chinese version of Instagram. And I'm getting a lot of, I post all my, just rented, just sell, just listed, those social graphic online. So then people know what I'm doing. I think sometimes it's annoying that I'm doing this a lot. For people they don't need, the assistant right away. But everybody needs a place to live. Either they rent or they buy. So it might be annoying for them now. They are like, I don't get likes from those posts, but 3 years down the road, when they're ready to sell, guess who they're gonna think of as me? Because they see my ads every single day. So they're gonna refer me out to their friends if somebody needs it. So, oh, I see Chih-Hao's post every day. So they refer me out. So I think to be consistent is important for marketing. Because if you don't tell people what you do, nobody's gonna, like, why would people come to, like, they don't know what you're doing. So you tell people what you do. I'm sure, that's how I got some of the people. But it's also very, very important because you see some people's social media, they only post about work. Like you can go into people's accounts and all they post is work, everything else. You don't even have a face photo of the broker. That's boring. That's stupid. Like why I wouldn't want to work with somebody that's just all about work. So with me, it's different. I give different contents. I post about what I eat, what I do for fun. When I travel, I post. I don't mind sharing about my personal lives with my clients. And I think that's important because that's authentic. People know I'm a real person. I'm not a robot. So I'm fun to work with. When you work with me, when we go out to see places, it's not just going to be about work only. But I'm sure everybody's fun. But then you don't show it to your client. You don't, like, all you post is about work. Like, why would people choose you than other people? But when you open up to share maybe other, like maybe you have a pet, you have a dog, share it with your client. So you get that connection that people could find it and then wanted to work with you.
Well, what I like about your feed, I pretty much follow you on Insta and probably Facebook, is that you do that and you travel too. Yeah. And what's really cool is, like, I've never traveled. I mean, I have traveled Europe, but I've never traveled to some of the places that you've gone to. Yeah. And so when you do pictures of the area, or you do pictures of, whether you're on a beach or you're on whatever, it's interesting. And what I like is that it's not you. I don't ever get the feeling that you're bragging. Yeah. You're just like, hey, here's where I am. And isn't this fun? Or look, like you said, sometimes it's the food, sometimes it's, different things. And so it's you're an interesting follow. Yeah. And I think that that's one of the things. And I look to see, how many people are liking stuff and how many people are responding to. So you do get engagement. Yes. From people. Yeah. Right. Because I know if I just post about work, nobody comments, nobody likes. But if I post about my personal stuff, and then people will comment, and then once they're commenting, I know they will go back to my account and look at other things, right? I want engagement from my audience. Yeah, and you're getting it, and I think it's showing obviously in your business. Now, what I find interesting is going back to that first year. I remember those videos of you educating people.
Yeah.
And I think, as a guy who educates people to get their real estate license, but also as a broker, I think a big part of this business is education. What's your thought?
I think it's very important. You have to let your clients know that you're the experts in this business. Like during COVID 2020, everybody is scared. They don't know what to do. Even though I was overseas in Taipei, but I did so many virtual tours because during that time, people were just scared to move. Like, they don't want to leave home. So I started emailing all my clients. Don't worry, I know your lease is coming up. Now you don't have to leave home because the buildings provide virtual tour. So I literally sat in my room in Taipei, and then I send those links to my clients. Say, hey, here's the video of this unit. Here's the video of this unit. If you liked it, you cannot see in person because it's not allowed now. But if you like it, you can apply. And I was doing deals when I was in Taipei. So you just have to be proactive, like get to know what's going on and be the first person to tell your clients. And then your client's gonna listen to you because they don't know this. And I think that's important.
So you get back from Taipei and you go on this run where you do a $10 million year, right?
Yeah.
And what was the biggest surprise for you in terms of you having that kind of a year?
I was surprised how, like I would say 2018, 2019, 2020, I was doing farmings, like, slowly planting seeds for my business. And I didn't think, because I talked to a lot of brokers that have been in the business for like 10 years, 15, 20 years. They told me, oh, you just have to be patient. You have, it doesn't come right away. You just have to, it might be tough for the first like 5-7 years. And then so I didn't expect to have this much value in like my third year, fourth year in this business. But the surprise was good. And I quickly adopted to the lifestyle because obviously I'm still on my own. I don't have a team. I mean, I have my team of like internal lender, attorney, and like inspector, but I don't have an assistant because a lot of the things I have to deal with or communicate with is in Chinese. So if I have somebody who helps me, the person has to know the language fluently, and I just haven't found that person yet. So I do everything on my own. So I really like, even when I go on vacation, I still have to work. It's like realtor don't get a day off. And like that's a surprise for me. But I see myself doing this as my career. Like it's not a job for me. So that's why I'm happy doing it. Like when I have to work late or when I have to like reply emails during vacation, I don't complain because I know this is what I want to do. I chose to do this. I don't want to be working in an office, working for somebody else. I want to work for myself. Yeah.
Well, and you love it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And I think clients can see it too, because yesterday I just got a Zillow review from my clients. She said that I can see that you love this job from the bottom of your heart. And that's why we wanted to work with you instead of Refent. That's what they told me. So I was like, yeah, like, I'm just so glad that, I didn't tell them that, but they can see it from my communication, like how much effort I'm putting in. So that's kind of like, it put a smile on my face yesterday when I read the review on Zillow.
Well, again, people will respond when they see a broker who is good at what they do and loves it. Like you said, you don't treat it like a job. It's your career. You chose to do this.
Yes.
And that's key. Now, let me ask you this. In your opinion, only having been doing this 5 years, what is the most important skill a real estate agent or broker needs to develop?
I think stay organized, because I'm super, super organized. I know what I'm doing every day. I have a to-do list. But that's just me, because sometimes I work with the agents and you can tell like the emails they write, they just are not organized. And I don't know how an agent or broker can be successful in this business if they're not organized. I have, sometimes agents miss their appointments. Like I am the listing agent, they're bringing their clients there. I get there, they're not there. And then they text me and say, "Oh, sorry, I forgot." And I was like, how can you forget? Like, this is your job. Like, I don't understand how it just doesn't make sense to me. And I think stay focused and organized. Like that, I think that's important for, like, that's like a feature for, an agent has to be, and you just have to be like a people person. Like you don't want to, like you meet people all day long and you have to get along with people. Some agents, they're just nasty. I just don't know why they're in this business when they're so bitchy.
Hey there, Real Estate Roundtable podcast listeners. I want to take a moment to tell you about our sponsor, I Love Real Estate School. If you're looking to get your real estate license or fulfilling your continuing education requirements, I Love Real Estate School's got you covered. As an Illinois licensed school, they offer the state-required broker pre-license course, managing broker pre-license courses, post-licensing courses, and continuing education. And the best part, you can take the courses either through their live stream with a live instructor or online home study. So no matter where you are, you can get the education you need to take your real estate career to the next level. I Love Real Estate School is committed to helping you succeed in the industry. That's why they offer comprehensive, high-quality education at an affordable price. So, if you're ready to start your real estate journey or stay up to date with your continuing education, head on over to iloverealestateschool.com today to learn more. As a way to stay organized, do you use time blocking at all? I hear a lot of agents talk about time blocking. So how do you manage your time?
I just use my phone. So like on my calendar, this is my last weekend. I just like put down everything that I have to do like right away. If I like when we set up for this interview, as soon as you told me, I put it in my calendar like 11 a.m. on Tuesday. Meeting was with you, and then I know I have to be here. So I've never missed an appointment.
Wow.
Yeah. I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So staying organized is a skill, and that's a learnable skill, right?
Yes.
And you just have to practice that on a consistent basis.
Correct. And I think I always was like this ever I can remember, even when I was in like elementary school. I knew, like, I remember like we would get assignments and then the teacher said, "Oh, it's due a week later in 7 days." But I do it on the day that I got the assignment. And people think I'm crazy. My parents were like, you have 7 days to do it, but I can't. Like, this is the same thing that I'm, with when I get a new listing, I'm already starting like booking appointment for photo shoot. I'm writing description. I know when I'm going to do the open house, I have a plan out, and I tell my client, this is my plan. So let me know if this worked with you. Can I go there for photo shoot? I like to stay organized, and I think that's important to be successful in this business.
So today, what percentage of your business is listings versus buyers? Do you have any sense of it?
So I would say 60% buyers, 40% sellers.
Okay.
Last year, this year, it depends. Like, it's good to have buyers in 2020, 2021 in the city, because buyers have the power in negotiating like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But now it's almost good to have the listing, because when you list something, it's going to sell right away, because there's all multiple offers now. Like, everybody's back in the city. There's not enough listing, not enough properties to buy.
So if I'm hearing you say this right now, as we sit here, you don't feel the inventory levels have gone way up over what they've been over the last couple of years?
Oh my God, it has gone down too much. Like in 2020, 2021, I do mostly like downtown, like Lakeview, Uptown, like into Streeterville, River North, Loop, South Loop, Chinatown, like in the city. high-rise condos, and we had a lot more inventories during 2020, 2021. Like it has come down so much. And now when the listing is listed, usually we get multiple offers right away, which didn't happen 3-4 years ago. So there's a shortage of properties right now, I would say.
Some people, Chih-Hao, some people will say to us, hey, that the inventory has gone up and sellers, it's taken them much longer to sell the property.
Where are they?
Okay, so you're telling us in the city of Chicago, it's still, if the property, I'm going to put words in your mouth, you tell me if it's right or not, if the property is priced correctly.
Correct. If the price is correct and if the unit is ready for moving, because some properties they need renovation, then that's a different story. But if a unit is okay, like you don't need like a full renovation, just maybe like painting and a little like painting the cabinet, like easy job to do, and the price is right, yeah, you get multiple offers right away. Like I had a listing. The sellers came to me in early March. They told me they had a property in Bridgeport. Oh, this is an interesting story. They had a property in Bridgeport and they gave me the address and I looked up. The property was listed for a month or like 37 days. But it was canceled with the broker. And then so I asked them, what's going on? Like, why did you have any showings? And they told me no, they had 0 showing in 37 days on the market. So I look at the photos. The broker went into the unit, took photos with his phone, like 5 or 6 photos, and posted on MLS. They have a duplex down over 2,400 square feet of property. The photos were horrible. You would like it's like a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath with like a basement, finished basement, and 2 more rooms in the basement, plus a garage for only $300,000 in Bridgeport. It's a hot property. And I don't know why it was not like sold already. So I told them, hey, if you work with me, I would do professional photos instead of the iPhone photos. I would do a Matterport 3D tour for you. I would do a video walkthrough and post on YouTube. I would do a floor plan and I would do virtual staging for you. I took the listing. I finished everything I needed to do. The open house, like 10, 15 people came through and we got multiple offers and we sold over asking price in 4 days. And my clients were just shocked. Like they were like, how is that possible? They thought their property couldn't sell. I said, yes, it's the seller's market. Like, what do you mean like it couldn't sell? It's the marketing that went wrong. Like you had no marketing. You have no photos that people, why would people come into your property if your photos are horrible? So that's, it also proves the point where marketing is very important. Like a lot of times, like it's not the property that has the issue, it's the marketing play. See a lot of agents, they don't know what they're doing.
So let me get it straight. So you put the property back on the market after you started doing the marketing and you didn't lower the price?
We did not. We listed at $299,999, $1. We lowered it.
All right.
I told them let's lower it so we might get, just it looks different. Yeah. And then we sold it at $305.
You sold it at $305 in 4 days.
4 days. So we listed on like a Wednesday and then we did open house Saturday and then like we went under contract on Sunday. And then we closed in 3 weeks. And they were just shocked that how, and then these people reach out to me on social media. It's the Chinese version of Instagram. They reach out, they say, hey, we have this, cancel listing. We're looking for a broker that can help. And I said, that's me. You found the right person. And of course, at first they were like nervous about if they would, go into this situation again where, the photos are not taken, there's no floor plan, there's nothing. I said, just, I told them, look at my website, look at my review on Zillow, like look at look at my portfolio, basically. I do the same thing for all my sellers, so you don't have to worry about it. And if we don't sell right away, then it's probably the price. But I told him I don't think so, because I think we price right. It's the marketing.
So just out of curiosity, because you mentioned the open house, the
Yeah.
people who ended up closing on that property, had they come to the open house?
They did. They did come through from the open house, and they're a cash buyer.
So, and we'll talk about cash in a minute, but what do you say to the brokers who say, open houses don't work?
You know what? I don't know if for this property at work, for a lot of my other properties, open house didn't work either. Like, it really depends. I think it depends on the properties. So if I know, like during like in 2021, 2020, when nobody wanted to live in the city, people were like out. And then if I had a listing, to do an open house, and it was pointless, because when I get an open house, if one group can buy and they're like in the open house and they're inside for 30 minutes, they saw nobody that come by, they're not going to put in an offer. They were like, oh, nobody likes this. Like, why would we want to buy it? Because this is how humans are. When they see a lot of people and they want to buy it. So I will only do an open house if I know I can attract, like, I know there will be traffic. So like I took a listing last year, and then the place was pretty old, like, and it's over Christmas time. I knew like doing open house wouldn't help, because nobody was going to come by to see it. If there was really a group that can buy, it might hurt me, because they would see there's no traffic and they probably didn't want it. So it might have, so I think like a private showing would be better for that situation. So you just have to analyze, the scenario, and see if open house is the right way to go. Usually you can look at the comps in the building and see how long properties are on the market before they are sold. Yeah, that's what I do, and to decide if open house is necessary.
So the open house scenario, you're strategic.
Yes.
About when you're going to do open houses.
Yes. And instead of people do like 2 hours, 3 hours open house, no, that's bad. I think open house, you do, like, sometimes, sellers, they want you to do 2 hours, 3 hours, but I tell them, no, like, you want people to see each other. You want everyone to see each other. So I would say like an hour, maybe 90 minutes max. It's not, I'm being lazy, but you have to be smart. If it's 3 hours period and nobody, like the people who don't see each other, then you don't create sense of urgency. You want to create a sense of urgency, and you want everybody to like run into each other, and you want people to hear their questions. And the more going on, the quicker the place is going to go on the contract. And I think, yeah. So then now when I do open house, like 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and then that's it. And then the goal is to, get it on the contract after the open house.
So it's interesting, because by compressing the time, what you're doing is creating energy.
Yes.
By people going, if I only have an hour and a half that I can see this property, I better go that. The other open houses I've got, couple 3 hours, I could visit them, later. But if I'm going to visit this one, I got to be there during that window. Right. And then that allows there to be this energy of a variety of people coming in.
Yeah. It's like when you're eating something, if there's just not enough and it tastes better. And when there's so much, you know what I'm saying? Like, where there's a lot of people and there's like one plate of food, you fight for it. And then when there's too much, and then, who cares? So you're creating a strategy.
So now let's talk about cash for a second. So what percentage of your buyers? Now, I know in 2021, 2022, we had a lot of cash buyers in the marketplace, right?
Yes.
What percentage of cash buyers are you seeing?
I had 1, 2, I have 3. Oh no, I had like 4. I just had I have 4 closing that were cash in the last, like, this year. So maybe once a month. Yeah.
Once a month. Now, so what percentage of your overall sales?
most people are still doing mortgage. I would say, like, I would say 80% mortgage, 20% cash. Yeah.
So that's still much higher than traditional cash numbers are in a normal market.
Yeah.
All right. But it's still much higher than it was. It's lower than what we saw in 2021, 2022, a little bit. But it's good to see that it's still going on.
Yeah.
You know, that people are and people are out there offering cash really in an effort to actually get the property.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of you know, a seller looking at, you know, the properties that are financed, they're more likely, if the numbers are in line, to take a cash offer.
Yeah. Oh, I totally forgot about one of my client. He purchased 5 or 6 properties with me, and it's all cash. He basically buys one properties every like 3 months with me, and then he buys it and rents it out, and I've helped him for like this is like 5th or 6th months already, and then it's always cash with him. Yeah, so it depends. Yeah, so there's still a lot of people.
He's an investor, so obviously, with an investor, you've established this relationship where, you know, he's going to be buying stuff cash, right? And more, I would say, owner occupants and to get the loans.
Yeah.
Fair? Is that a fair statement?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
Okay. So the market is what it is, and you're still thriving in this market. Because, you know, some brokers are out there, agents out there saying, oh, no, this market, so the sky is falling, you know, that kind of thing.
You know, compared to last year, it's everybody's production is less. I think even the top brokers, they're doing 1/3 of what they're doing. And I think I am doing less compared to last year. Like up to like if I compare last year to today, you know, I'm doing less. And I think overall, the production wise, the valuing wise for everyone in Chicago, I think it's going to be lower than last year because we had a great year last year. And the interest rates started to go up, you know, summer. And then I think that back to the issue, I think there's not enough inventories in like right now. And sellers are not selling because they have nowhere to go if they're selling. If they have more than one property, then, you know, they can sell it and it's perfect for them to sell. But then if they are selling and buying a new place, and if they are locked in with the good interest rate at like 3 or 4%, they're not selling now because they are nervous to, you know, they might not find something they like. So I think overall production, even for me, it's a little bit less than last year. So it's slower, but I mean, still good. Like for me, like I will survive, but overall, it's still less than before.
Got it. So let's take this from the perspective of a brand new real estate broker agent making their way into this market today. What would be your piece of advice to a brand new person getting into this business?
Ooh, my first year, I was poor. And I think people who get into this business, I think the reality is if you do this part-time, it's not going to work because clients can tell if you do this part-time. The clients want to work with somebody who is doing this full-time. And usually in like the first year of business, it's tough because, you know, getting clients, paying bills and stuff like that. So a lot of times, somehow I think you need to have some kind of savings or like support from your families. And I think that's just that's the honest opinions I have. Like if somebody who just you don't have savings, you want to get into this business right away, I don't know how the person is going to pay the bills because I know how little I make the first like 6 months. And then I know a lot of people who got into this business with me and they can't stay in this business because there's no income. They're not generating income and they cannot pay for bills or rent. And they just have to, you know, find something else that actually brings income. So, but I would say if you want to do this, be consistent, be patient, and then continue to tell people what you do. Tell the people around you. Like I get a lot of my first rental clients was my friends. who just finished law school at Northwestern in 2018. I told him, hey, I just got my broker license. Would you work with me? He knew I was new. So I wasn't as nervous, but I just took him on, apartments touring, like tours. And later, you just have to be consistent and be patient, and don't give up. Like some people give up easily. You have to fight for it. You have to go out and look for your own clients. But there's like a point to where you if it's not for you. Like my sister took the class with you. Remember? Yeah, my sister did it, and she moved to Chicago. She got her license. She followed me for a month. She decided it's not for her. She quit. So she went back to Boston because it's just she saw how I was like late at night doing emails. I have to pick up phone calls early in the morning, on weekends, when we are eating, when we're on vacation, I'm always just working. And she has an RN license. She's a nurse. So she's like, no, this isn't like my lifestyle. She cannot do this because she want to go to work at 7 a.m. and finish at 7 p.m. She doesn't want to deal with phone calls or emails after work. So it's not for everyone. So then you just have to, like, I think for a new agent, you just have to figure out this. To be a real estate broker, it's a lifestyle. Like it's not, there's no like 9 to 5. There's no like, we don't have weekends. Like if I'm in Chicago, I'm always working. Like I did showings like in 2019 Christmas time. I remember I was showing people's properties because Chinese people don't celebrate Christmas and they don't care. They asked me if I could show. So I asked the seller if I can show, and it's vacant. So I show properties on Christmas Day, and then I don't really, like I was here. My family's not here. So I didn't celebrate Christmas. So you got to do what you have to do to become successful in this business. And it's tough. Like it's not easy. It's not, like all these TV shows make these jobs look fun and easy, but that's not correct. We are busy. They don't know what's behind the scene. Like, they don't know all the contract we're writing, all the offers that we have to draft. And then we are so nervous, like for the buyers, like we have to put in 5 offers at this market now before we even get one under contract because it's just so competitive. And like they don't know when we go to a showing and, the door is broken, there's keys. So I have to like climb through a window to get into a showing. Like this is not on TV, and then there's so many brokers that are trying to get into this business and thinking, we're just, once they get into a business, clients just go to them and say, hey, I want to sell my place with you. No, that's the TV portrays the best. Of course, that happens, commission check, like all this closing, and it's happy, everybody's happy, everything's great. But we have that. But in order to get to that point, there's so much that we have to do. And then sometimes we have to do so much. I might be working with the buyers. It happened to me. I worked with a buyer for 3 months, 2 months, and we went on the contract at Trump Tower. And then the mortgage fell through. And then the buyer got really discouraged, and he rented another year with his building. And then I literally wasted 2-3 months with this buyer, and I get nothing. I get no money from this. And then, in the beginning, this stuff like this happens. And then in the beginning, I would be really, upset. It's a lot of money I'm waiting for because I have to pay my bill too. I have to pay my rent, I pay my mortgage. But, as time goes by, I just have to tell myself, stuff like this happens. There are good days, there are bad days, good years, bad years. And last year was pretty good. This year might not be as good, but, it's just how it is for sales. So that's why, putting your money aside, have a saving plans, because we don't pay tax right away. So like putting your money away to the account so you can pay taxes is also important. So like back to being organized. So you have to be organized. You just have to be patient. You have to know what you're doing in this business because nobody's going to teach you. Nobody's going to tell you what. You don't have a boss to tell you what's going to happen to you.
Well, and I think that's one of the challenges that people getting into this business don't realize is that they will come into class. I mean, we certainly had it in your class. I want to be my own boss. And, well, they don't realize that when you're your own boss, you have the best boss, but you also have the worst boss. Because you're responsible for everything that you're doing. So you just can't sit there and go, well, what do I do now? You've got to go out and seek that knowledge, right?
Yeah.
How do you stay on top of like emerging market trends or different, new tools? How do you do that?
So I subscribe to a lot of a newspaper, in Chicago, the Tribune, the CNN, like they have like real estate section, and then I read those, and then like the just different website they send. I try to read like 20 minutes to 30 minutes a day, so I know what's going on. And we drive around all day long, so when I see an empty lot, and then when I see they put like a fence around it, I quickly look up and just to see what's going on with this property because I want to know. Or just like by talking to people, like I just closed, the one in South Loop. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. We closed over 600,000. And I just closed at this property. And one of my friends who live in the building texts me and he said, "Hey, I saw you just closed a unit in my building. I live here too." And then he told me, "Did you know the part, like the little area in front of the building just got approved by the city to build like a low-rise condo?" I said, "Oh, I didn't know, but now I know." So I look up. So it's just by talking to people, driving around, looking up, so I stay informed, like what's going on, what's being built. And I think that's important because clients are always, it's good to share with clients what's going on. And they want to buy this building. Like I live in Streeterville. There's an empty lot that have been sitting there for 20, 25 years. You probably know it's like the big circle. And people always ask me about like what's going on with this empty lot, when it's going to be built. So I send them links. I say, "Hey, this is the plan." And it has been there for years. It's going to be built one day, but we don't know when. Yeah, it's because it's being talked about for the last 20 years since I moved to Chicago. And at New East Side, the Aqua building, there's that little New East Park. They built so many buildings in the last 10 years. There's so many new buildings that come up there. And then I tell them like what's next. People appreciate, information like that. And that's what I think that's what we should do as a real estate broker. We should learn and stay on top of things like this.
So, what's interesting about that is that it adds to your credibility as a broker by just having, I don't want to call it random knowledge, but it certainly seems like, somebody says, "Oh, what's going on over there?" And you have that knowledge, or you have an article, or you have something that you can express. They go, "Oh, all right. Chih-Hao knows what's going on." Right. And even if they're not interested in what's going to happen there, in their mind, they're saying to themselves, "Oh, this guy must be an expert because he knows these things, or he's willing to find out to be able to tell me what's going on."
Correct. For example, there's another a couple, they bought a townhouse with me and they bought 2 investment properties with me already. And I know they continue wanting to buy more. So then every time they send me a listing, they say, "Hey, this building," and I know by heart if this building is investor friendly or not, because a lot of building has rental caps, rental restriction. I know where I live, there's rental restriction. I know some building there are investor friendly where you can buy and rent out right away. So as soon as they tell me a building, I usually can tell them right away, "Oh, you can buy there." And then the rules change. So I just have to be familiar with the building. And sometimes it's not like I'm sitting here studying about each building. It's, as time goes by, I do showings and I learn and I memorize. So next time when somebody asks me, I can tell them right away, "Oh, yes, if you're trying to be an investor, this is the building that you should go." So I have a list of buildings that I know in Chicago. Like if you want to be an investor, I can tell you where to buy. So things like that I think my clients will appreciate.
So talk to me for a second. Have the trend of Airbnbs, have you seen that becoming a much bigger thing in the Chicagoland area over the last few years?
Oh, like no condo, only one buildings allow Airbnb. It's 30 East Huron, the building, and it's not Airbnb. They have to do it has to be 30 days minimum, like lease term. None of the condo high rise in Chicago allow Airbnb. If you want to do Airbnb, it has to be a single family home or something. There's like a townhouse where the HOA allows it, but I have not. None of them. Airbnb is illegal for a lot of high rise condo in Chicago. So no, if you want to do Airbnb, you have to go buy a house. So that's not really
Or you have to buy the building.
By the buildings, yeah, like
Like
three
you buy-
units, like in Lakeview, Lincoln Park, like 3 flats, and then those, if you're the owner for the whole building, then you make the rules. But yeah,
So because again, that's one of the hot topics people want to come into class and talk about. Oh, I want to get out there and I want an Airbnb. And I tell them pretty much what you just said. I don't know of a high-rise condo association that allows Airbnb because it's just not their model.
like people think like doing Airbnb is easy. I've done it before myself, and then if you self-manage Airbnb, it's a lot of work because you have to do the scheduling. People book it, and then they come here, and then you have to clean up after. I was doing the cleaning myself, so it was a lot. There's just so much work, and then people complain during their stay for upstairs, the neighbors, and it's just a lot of things. And then if they're having party, and then downstairs neighbors are complaining, it's not as pretty as what like we were told, on TV or media. But of course, it works. 'Cause I know a client who sold their property in Chinatown in February. He was doing Airbnb for it's like 3 floors, 3 units building. We're on the middle floor. He showed me his rent income. He had over, I think he was charging like up to $300-400 a night during summer when there's conferences at McCormick Place. And then he has like 30,000, 40, 50,000. So it's more than what he could rent for. The property is only like less than 300,000. It's not a super fancy place, but he was making a lot of money. But then he ended up selling because I think it was just, he didn't want to do it with doing Airbnb. So I think it's great money, but there's also so much that's involved that, you have to keep up.
Yeah, I mean, there are certainly people who make it seem like, oh, it's so easy, it's so easy. And I'm certain that to some extent, it's easier for people that are set up to do it.
Yeah.
But it's also not necessarily for somebody that doesn't know what they're doing or doesn't at least, educate themselves on how to do Airbnb. Nothing's ever as simple as people make it sound.
Yeah, if it's simple, everybody's gonna do it. Like if it's just buying a place and rent it out, no. Like I think I had a property, I was doing Airbnb, but I now just do like a long-term 12-month lease. That's money-wise is way less, but it's so much easier. So you're not dealing with like people there are people moving in and out every twice a week, and it's just too much.
Right.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up here, I want to ask you, obviously you've built your business here over the last 5 years and it's going well. If you could go back to yourself 5 years ago, say, so Chih-Hao today goes back and meets Chih-Hao from 2018. What advice would you give yourself at that time?
I would say in this business, as a broker, real estate agent, we interview brokerages. Because a lot of people's mentality is we get interviewed by, like, they pick us, but no, we pick them. Because we are the one making money for the brokerage. Whatever we make, we have to give some back to the brokerage. And that's not what I don't think that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that I was being interviewed. So I'm being picked. So when somebody said, yeah, sure, I will hire you, I jump on it without researching more. So just do your research because every brokerage has their, it's the vibe is different. Some is more traditional, some is more like younger vibe, and like some is like, just different vibes. So I suggest like all brokers, like they look into different options, talk to different agents in the brokerages and see what's like the best fit for them.
Well, and I think that is great advice.
Yeah.
Because, again, a lot of people that come into my classes, they'll say to me, well, am I going to get a job? I mean, and I always say, you know what? Real estate's not a job.
Yeah.
It's a career. All right. Is somebody going to hire me? And I say, somebody's going to hire you.
Everyone will be hired in this business if you have a license.
Right. It's just a matter of what is going to work best for you.
Correct.
Right. And so you started out at one company and at some point you moved to this new company that you're with. And, the fact is that sometimes the fit isn't right. And you certainly have to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. But ultimately, it's your business.
Yes. A lot of people don't even know who I work for now. Like I had a client who moved into my building where I live. We were talking the other day. I ran into him. He was like, he thought I had my own company. I said, no, I don't. And a lot of clients, like my client, they think I'm running my own. I said, no, I have my own managed broker license, but I have my license under my brokerage. I don't own my own brokerage. But a lot of times clients actually don't know. So I have my own brand. So my brand is strong enough. They think people come to me, not to my brokerage. I think that's how it is in this business. People don't go to like a brokerage, say, hey, I want to work with a broker in your brokerage. No, they're looking for the right person to work with, and they don't care who the broker belongs to, like what brokerage they work for. Yeah.
So I've often said this over the years, Chih-Hao, is people buy you. They don't buy the company, the majority of them.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hearing you say is that
Yes.
Most people don't know. They don't care. They get to work with Chih-Hao.
Yeah.
And that's what they want.
Correct.
You could work for any company and
Yeah.
they're going to work with you.
If I move to a new company, I'm sure all my clients are going to work with me. They're not going to go back to, the brokerage say, hey, I want to work with Chih-Hao. Oh, I want to work with this brokerage. They're working with me. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's just how, like, I would say that's 99% of the time was in this business because we work with the person we want to work with.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's great advice. And like I said at the beginning, I've watched your career, as being somebody that's, watched you on social media and all that, plus obviously having the relationship. And, it's been a great ride to see what you're doing, to see the success that you're having, to see the accolades that you're getting from the Realtor Association and from your company. But that's because you're doing the work.
Yeah.
And, in this business, you get out of it what you put into it. You're putting your heart and soul into it, and it shows.
Yeah.
So, I want to say, one, congratulations. Two, keep up the great work. I know there's great things in store for you in this business. Number three, I want to say thank you for taking your time and sharing your time today, which we know is valuable, with the listeners. And by the way, if anybody would like to reach out to Chih-Hao, his information is going to be in the show notes. So we'll have his name and his phone number and his email. Please feel free. He and I have talked about this off camera, that he is happy to help anybody in terms of if you have questions about the business or how he does what he does, he's happy to do that. And I appreciate that, Chih-Hao. I really do.
Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to talk to you. You see how I grew in the last 5 years. You're the person. That's where I started.
I appreciate that. And the thing is that, talent will out. You have the talent, you're putting the talent in place. We always say real estate is equal opportunity, unequal results. And you're showing that when you do this, man, you are rocking and rolling. So congratulations. Thank you so much, Chih-Hao.
Thank you.
Thanks again to our sponsor, I Love Real Estate School. Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Roundtable podcast. I hope you enjoyed hearing from our amazing guests and you picked up some valuable tips and insights that you can use in your own real estate business. If you liked what you heard today, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring you more great content in the future. And if you're an agent who's interested in coaching, I'd love to hear from you. You can contact me directly through my website, myrealestatesalesmanager.com, or connect with me on social media. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you the next time in the Real Estate Roundtable podcast.